Hello and welcome to the I always think about the TOPG podcast.
Dad?
Hello and welcome
Dad?
to the Dad and Sons podcast.
Where are you, Pops?
Who are the dad? Who are the sons? You decide. I hate myself. I'm coming to you from my echoey apartment, and that's what you're hearing.
I was going to say, Matt, you sound very far away.
Yes.
Where are you?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
That was amazing.
I could do some really cool sound effects with this. Today, we have my co-stars.
Hello.
God damn it. Liam,
Wakanda
the name dropper.
forever.
This is really spacious.
God. Oh, God. And George, the weebster.
Oh, I heard my name.
George, stop trying to be Matt.
I think he had to run all the way into his living room to do that.
Hang on, I think I found... Oh, here we go. Oh, look, it's my two friends live in the studio here with me today.
Oh,
Yes.
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 Thanks,
We're all in the
thanks
same
for
room.
coming in late, George. Close
No
the
worries.
studio door.
This was just a very spacious, luxurious new space.
Yeah, are you live from the new studio that we both are not at right now?
With all this arm room in here, I could really just lie on the floor and sleep if I wanted to.
Right, because your bed is right there.
They always said that it's unhealthy to make your sleeping space your working space, and I am a living example.
Yeah.
Me
Hello,
too.
I'm
but
George.
I live in Japan, and I have no choice. My bed is my desk.
Oh, really? Does it fold into a desk after you're done sleeping?
No, I just have no room, so I have to work on my bed.
Ah. Oh, so you just what type of position? Do you switch positions with your laptop? Do you
No, I have
do a lay down?
I have
then
a crappy Japanese coffee table, if you've ever seen a crappy Japanese coffee table. They're very
bed
Yeah,
and breakfast type thing. going on?
kind of.
Our
Yeah.
Airbnbs usually have that.
Yeah, and then
But they are real crappy.
Yeah.
IKEA furniture is better than the Airbnb Japan furniture I've seen. It usually is IKEA furniture, which is smaller and more efficiently made than American IKEA furniture.
yeah, or it's from Nitori, which is Japan's IKEA, and it's pretty cheap stuff.
I thought IKEA was cheap. I went over there looking for furniture. I was like, oh, I could go to IKEA, get me, a sofa and a table. Nope. It's expensive as hell. It's $500-$600 for a sofa.
God, man.
And they don't feel very well either. It's kind of stiff.
I feel really guilty about my living situation sometimes. I'm still using the first furniture I ever... No, since I moved out of the dorms, I moved into an apartment that had furniture in it that the old resident didn't care about anymore, so I got to keep it. And I just now found out this week that old couch that I've had for 7 years has a couch bed in it.
Oh,
What?
missed opportunities. I found out maybe a month into owning this couch that I'm sat on right now that it was also a couch bed, and I've been using it a lot ever since.
I don't know if it's in the... fuck it. Matt, if you need some financial assistance, every citizen should have a couch bed. When I grow up and become President George of Georgia, I am going to distribute couch beds from a government subsidy program.
Wait a minute. Is this a segue into Black Panther?
No, it was supposed to be a lightweight aside.
Woo! That's a good
The
one.
thing is, this couch bed is amazing. I'm telling you guys that over the past week, I have been sitting in the corner of the couch, leaning on the couch, but with my butt and feet on a bed, with a Steam controller in hand, just hammering away at Civ and Into the Breach, high-tension turn-based strategy on the couch bed in front of a TV is amazing.
You've been playing Into the Breach with a controller?
The Steam, it works surprisingly well with the Steam controller, with your trackpad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically like playing it on a laptop that you can hold in your hands. Wow.
Because I kind of can see why they held off releasing that straight away on like Switch and iPad, because there's a lot of reading and a lot of hovering over things. I feel like the gameplay would be like 50% slower than it already is.
I also don't think they have a like cursor programmed in there. You're still moving around your like freestanding mouse cursor instead of moving the stick to like select tile to tile like in a console strategy game.
Yeah, and you have to like hold like. There are a lot of like shortcuts that you can do and stuff like that.
It's the best goddamn controller for strategy games ever, you guys. I can't believe how well it works. Like I've had a friend who's been swearing by the Steam controller for years, and I was just like, I haven't really found any games for it yet. Holy crap, though! That's just because I've been playing the wrong genre. I mean, when you look at the back of the box of a Steam controller, there's or a video demonstration of the Steam controller, they're probably going to walk you through CSGO first, but they did do some partnering with Civ 6. The developers of Civ 6 have an official controller scheme for their game. They built a new little touch menu for the Steam controller. The button labels are all native in there, and it freaking works so well. And I can't... it almost has me like thinking, wow, I can't believe no one thought of using a trackpad to have freewheeling mouse cursor games work on a console controller before.
It's a pretty limiting genre, though, to just build a controller around.
Well, you can also use the Steam controller very, very well for your desktop mode stuff. So not only have I been sitting on the couch bed playing high-intensity turn-based strategy games, I have also been using it for a lot of my, like, entertainment time, guests coming over, like silly party movie shenanigans, a lot more faster and easier than before with the Steam Link. And I mean, Matt knows I used to have a much more active social life where I had friends over every weekend, and I would set up some sort of solution streaming the PC over to the computer for that. I used the Steam Link for that for a while, and I had like mouses and wireless Bluetooth keyboards lying around. And now the Steam controller has replaced both, as well as making Civ party nights possible. Civ works as a party game surprisingly well if you hand it off to a new person every turn, because there's no rush to it. Like everyone's got a good like 5 minutes of chill out time. There's a lot of downtime where you get to talk to your other guests. It's a whole dimension of this strategy genre that a lot of people don't know about because I bet they've never tried, but it works really, really well once you do. And so for a lot of this weekend, I had the lady friend over, and we would just cuddle up on the couch bed and play games and watch movies. You know how I've been raving about bed gaming? Well, guess what? Couch bed gaming is the next frontier above that.
The new meta. The new bed meta. Bedwetter.
I strongly encourage all our listeners to invest in a couch bed, or look inside of a couch you might have owned for 7 years.
I need a couch for that Netflix and chill, so I definitely need to get me a couch. You know,
Matt, you just need furniture.
I do need furniture. I just got me. I invested in a bed. That's what I did. Because I have the crappiest foam bed ever. And it's just like, oh, my back is hurting. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, you spend so much time sleeping. And some people, they could sleep on the floor and be fine. I am not one of those people. I need my sleep. And I will wake up constantly if I'm not in somewhere somewhat comfortable. Somewhat comfortable.
God almighty, I wish I'd been sleeping comfortably this past week. I've been having anxiety attacks from how long it's been since the last video. I'm cool to say this since it'll be out by the time it comes out, but this thing is like 40 minutes long. It's been about a good month since my last video, but oh god, that kills me. But I'm still like meeting the 10 minutes per week rule at least. It's going to be about 40 minutes long, and it's a review of the ESRB and of every other rating agency for the top 10 game markets. And it's taken me so long, there's been so much interviewing and researching and translating involved that I tried to get to sleep last night before this podcast, but still couldn't do it. I woke up in the middle of the night, got some editing done ahead. It's been I don't know if I need to buy a new bed or just like fix my lifestyle and my release schedule and get over this anxiety. But I feel you. Sleep is harder than it should be, and it's so important.
You should try sleeping on a couch bed.
I actually have a few times, and it's worked.
Well, there you go.
It's a nice, refreshing break to like get my body in a space where the space is allocated for relaxation instead of work.
Yeah,
because it's super not healthy to have your workspace in your bedroom, and I'm changing that too. As of last week,
I've spent far too much money in Starbucks in this year in total just to force myself to be focused and productive, because Japanese apartments are, as you all know, tiny, and my sofa is next to my bed, and my bed is next to my desk, and they're within all of 2 feet of each other, and it's very unproductive. Let's put it that way.
So your brain is like, I don't know what this space is for. It's probably for relaxing and sleep, so let's chill out instead of do work in this space.
It's pretty much just that. It never thinks about doing work. Although I will say, I recently acquired a very cheap PC monitor, secondhand from a local secondhand store in my city, for like testing for the game to be shown at like events and stuff like that, because I've only been testing it on my laptop screen for, pretty much the whole time.
Oh yeah, and you don't want your like HUD like clipping out of the monitor.
Well, it's just like checking like color, transparency, and basically like VSync and stuff like that. So I got like a cheap monitor, but then I started using it as like a dual monitor. Now, I haven't had like a dual monitor setup in 3 years since I moved to Japan, and it was like a staple of my desk back at home in the UK and at Rockstar. And it's like, oh my god, I can do 2 things at once. I don't have to Alt-Tab out of things all the time, and I can have like a reference photo up on one screen, and I can do art on the other. This is how people get work done. So I've been a little more productive.
I can't wait to have a dual monitor set up, and for that I need a new desk too. My desk has always been too small for 2 monitors.
Oh man, my desk is tiny, but I'm squeezing them on there, and I'm doing it, and I'm being a little more productive, and it is feeling good. It's been good.
2 monitors is life. It is.
You still rocking the double monitor?
Absolutely. There's no other way. There is no other way. Once you go double,
you go back,
you don't go back. It's like having one ball. All right, you just don't have one testicle. Okay, you need
one
2.
Easter egg.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you don't. I'm still rocking it, especially when you're editing. You just have a whole nother thing going on the right side. So yeah.
Man, it's been feeling good, and speaking of the unproductiveness of my bed, luckily the way my desk is sort of, it's like pushed against the wall, so I have to sort of face the wall with everything behind me completely out of view. So it feels like maybe I'm in kind of like in a different place than what it usually feels like with all my seating facing towards the TV. So it's been a little more productive, and hopefully my Starbucks expenses will go down for fucking March and April. Jesus.
Hey, remember yeah, I don't remember what it was like, but I bet if we were like, born a good 10 years earlier, we might have an office with which to do our work. It's like bosses that give us benefits and keep us on a tight schedule and push us to get work done instead of wasting away wondering if we're doing the right thing in our bedrooms.
On our couch beds, our respective couch beds.
Oh, that's right. I graduated.
You did.
With a thing I've had for 7 years that I never knew about. I think my previous roommates used the couch bed once, and I completely forgot about it.
They never told you about it. Wow.
It was so long ago. I've been in this apartment for like most of a decade.
Wow. That's crazy. In a decade, I've lived in like 8 different places. Oh god, that's also depressing. Do you remember how not that long ago we said we were going to jump straight into Black Panther, and we ended up talking about couch beds? Truly the dad and son's way.
You guys want to talk about Black Panther?
I think we should.
No, we should wait till next week. so I can watch it again.
I feel like we can remind you, though. I feel like we can rekindle the flame, if you'll...
But I like to dissect things, and I don't... Yeah?
Should we surface level talk?
Ooh.
Like, no spoilers. And then we can dissect after you've had that coveted second watch you want so bad, Matt, that you can...
The thing is, all right? The thing is, when I watched
Here he goes. He's going to dissect. Sit back.
No. When I watched it, I drifted off a little bit at the end. I'm not going to lie. It got really boring.
Shit,
all right. The battle scene went on way too long.
Okay, yes. It's like, okay, like, let me address something. As a colored dude, like, it's getting too much. You know, Black Lightning, this, like, it's getting too much. Like, this is not Get Out quality.
Wait, what is Black Lightning?
Black Lightning is another show that's kind of heavy on the
the plight of the brothers.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we get it. Yes, this is a real problem. We get it. Like, why don't we just have regular movies with black people in it? Like, that's it. That's all I care about. I don't care about it being like oppression. They're amazing. They have the greatest medal of all time. You know, they created a white man's shield. Like, come on. Like, it's just too much for me.
I know. I mean, there's a dimension of it to that, but I had an enlightening conversation afterwards that made the appeal make more sense to me. Liam, you've been chomping at the bit as well.
Like, the one thing I heard, just in reference to what Matt just said, a very good thing I heard about that was, unfortunately, the reality is it took something that had to be overbearingly so like this in terms of what Matt's talking about. Like, right in your face, like, no apologies. Like, this is, like, a film that's celebrating, like, African culture and being black and all that kind of stuff that Black Panther represents. But as Matt just pointed out, unfortunately, it's taken this to kickstart what will happen now, which is we will hopefully, out of this, get to a point where what Matt just said is we will just have movies that will have normal roles.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about just black people. You know, let's have some Mexicans and anyone. Basically, Asians that are not doing karate. Like, let's just break the mold and that, like, people getting roles that they deserve instead of it being like a certain category that they have to fit in. And that's what I care about mostly, because really, like, I get it. Like, growing up, I did not have stuff like this, and I understand that. I wouldn't say that, okay, you had to have this stuff in order to become something. I think that's an excuse. I think it's more like, oh, it'll give the little kids motivation, like, oh, wow, there's a black superhero or whatever like that.
Yeah, give them a toy to slap together with another toy.
Exactly. Like, oh, this person looks like me.
Like, to say it won't is, I think, stupid. Like, it definitely will. I remember, like, you think back to who you sort of clinged onto when you were younger, and you were like, I can be like that person. There are very clearly people who I remember when I was younger who I saw some parallels with. Whether it was like made by a marketing company or whatnot is whatever, right? But I, as a kid, didn't understand the concepts of marketing and they're selling me toys because they want to make money. It was more about like what I saw on the screen is what I would draw parallels to. So you're drawn to the people who, you know, inspire you, who are from a similar background to you or look like you or similar to you. So I think there is the element of good here that, you know, there are going to be a whole generation of like young black kids who are going to see like Black Panther or even, you know, Killmonger himself, like, and also like the female cast in that movie as well, that are going to look at it and be like, I can be like that. Like, I can do that.
You got your like smart nerdy girls and your angry warrior women.
Like,
yeah, I get that, because like Luke Cage wasn't like Black Lightning and Black Panther. It wasn't.
Oh, I heard that hearing Wooly talk about Luke Cage is hilarious. I won't even try to do the voices that he was doing to describe how black they talk in that show.
Oh yeah. And I like Luke Cage for that, but it didn't shove it down your throat like other stuff did. It's the way they do it. It, like what I was saying before, my problem with Black Panther is that if you strip away the blackness, it's not a good movie. I understand what it's standing for. Yeah, but it's not the best Marvel movie at all. Ragnarok was freaking awesome. Like, what the hell?
Ragnarok's still number one.
What the freaking hell? Ragnarok was the shit.
Yeah.
And Black Panther was a little boring. You know? I mean, great characters, amazing characters. Andy Serkis freaking killed it. I was like, I want more of the white guy. I'm sorry.
Have you guys ever seen Undercover Brother?
Yeah, of course.
Did you get the vibe from like the awkward nerdy white guy being the comic relief who's just like in the background of all the cool black guys who know what they're doing? I was having flashbacks to being the only white guy in a theater watching Undercover Brother and being like, oh, that's my... Oh. It's like the one white guy in the movie just keeps fucking up and getting picked on.
Is there anyone in that movie who is from their actual country that they're meant to be from? Like, obviously, apart from, Michael B. Jordan being Killmonger, like, you got Andy Serkis playing a South African. And according to the South African girl who watched it with our group, his Afrikaans accent was pretty weak, although it sounded darn good to me. Andy Serkis is a great actor.
He's phenomenal.
Chadwick Boseman, he sounded pretty convincing to me. I obviously have no parallels to draw to an Afrikaans accent or that sort of dialect at all, but obviously he's from America. And then Martin Freeman as the American white guy, who is very clearly British and not even just like slightly British. He's like overbearingly British sometimes.
British, yeah.
Watching him put on a very average American accent was very weird for me. So it's like, is anyone in that film like from their country of origin actually playing someone from their country? It was kind of strange.
Yeah.
A lot of what you guys have said is why I think it's just fine. I mean, I don't think the movie's only okay. I think it's good, but I don't think it's great.
I think it's good.
I mean,
I think it's good.
I don't regret seeing it, but I don't think I want to go back or anything. But when I walked out of it, I was... My main complaint was that it just didn't seem... It seemed like too much of a baby step compared to what I've been hearing about Luke Cage and other like super duper black movies I've seen before. And me and the lady friend went to a Steak and Shake afterwards and sat down and talked it out. And I was like, I feel like the movie pulled its punches. Like it relied too much on pseudoscience magic to explain away what's going on. That made it hard to follow. I was just like...
The kinetic thing was just too much. Like, it was used too much in the film and action scenes and everything.
And I remember saying that as far as the themes of black oppression and black empowerment, both at the same time were going, it didn't seem angry enough. It didn't seem to focus on them enough compared to stuff I'd seen. And I remember saying to her, ... quote... well, comma, it was no Spike Lee joint. and that gradually led to a conversation where now I've come to understand that that's the point. The point is that this like really normal, like safe, by the numbers, blockbuster Marvel movie managed to slip those themes through the cracks. And if it was a Spike Lee movie, he could have had an all-black cast. He could have had a black superhero saving Africa. And it would have not sold out on all major theaters across the United States at all. It would not have sold merchandise to the kids, which is like a dimension of it that I walked out not liking. But then afterwards, when I started thinking of it in those terms, I was like, yeah, you know what? I kind of get it. There
are things that I think about Black Panther that it did well that no other Marvel film has done so far. One is visually pretty varied and striking, like starting out like in Wakanda, obviously with the African sort of flair and style and definitely the tribal.
Yeah, it's really cool seeing neck rings and lip discs on like high-tech, like awesome looking costumes.
And having like all the Korean Seoul skyline and stuff like that. was like super cool, and the I don't want to get into too heavy spoilers because if we're going to go into it after Matt speaks about it, but also on top of that, the one thing it aimed for, which I appreciate, but I don't think it pulled off very well, is it's like the only Marvel film ever to attempt world building. Like, every other Marvel film is a character film. Like, and even in this sense, obviously Black Panther is a character film. It's about Black Panther, and it does a pretty good job.
But did it do it though? But
no, it doesn't do world building very well.
No,
like,
it
starts off well, but then
there's
like,
supposed to be advanced. But they're
Yeah,
supposed to be advanced, but they're still like sticking to traditions and stuff like that. And I
oh, dude, yeah. But someone brought up that argument, and I was like, dude, I live in Japan. Like, Japan is Wakanda. Like, Japan, like, there are places in the world where tradition will just never die.
So when they're walking through the street and you see them, it's basically like, I don't know, like a regular street.
Yeah, because
to be
it's
honest.
not like it's not.
You
like
see
us.
one guy with a hologram watch, and that's it.
Yeah,
that's
because
all you
it's
see.
not, it's not like us. Like I can say that it's like probably like not on purpose, but from the point of view,
Matt,
They fight
like
each other.
no. Listen. Like, the only reason like it didn't bother me that so much, apart from the fact they used the same street twice in the film to give the emphasis of a Wakandan city, which was shit. The only reason that like didn't bother me at all was because I live in like a pretty small countryside city in Japan, right? And you will walk down the street and there will be like old men, old women, sort of even like teenagers who just like still use like
But are
everyone
you
rides
living
a
in
bike.
Tokyo though? See, that's the
No,
difference. though.
it's-
Wakanda
it's-
is like a
it's-
closed city.
But it's not, because it's like they use the technology for what it is purposely like going to improve their lives. Like, everyone
You really got to turn your brain off.
like, yeah,
for,
exactly. But like
Wakanda's
healing,
force
like-
field magic and stuff.
yeah, it's more about like they use it. It's hard to explain. Like, we use technology to improve our like entertainment, our like daily life as a Western society, like the UK and America and many other Western cities and cultures. We use technology like in every aspect of our life, like coffee makers, the Nintendo Switch to play games, and like we use our phones to listen to music and stuff. Like, we just use technology all the time. But like, there are so many Japanese people who don't. Like, many. Which is why when I watched the Wakanda scenes, I was like, yeah, they have this technology, but they use it more as like a tool to make sure they survive and to improve certain aspects. But the rest of the time, they're probably just pretty happy chilling, doing their normal stuff that they've done for thousands of years. Like,
the thing is that, but the sister is doing all sorts of cool stuff, right?
But she's a scientist. She's like a tech enthusiast.
Okay, wait a minute. It's a big part. It's a big part that one of the tribes did not agree, and they live in the mountains. And everyone else in Wakanda is like, oh, tech advancements, and they're slowly getting rid of traditions and stuff like that. But for some reason, there's no clear difference between the two. It looks the same almost. And they address this, like, when you see them about to fight each other and you see the sisters like, oh my gosh, when are we going to be done with this? I'm tired of wearing this corset or whatever like that. And then you see the guy walking from the mountain.
But she
I forgot what his name is.
New generation, right?
He's pretty funny. Yeah. She's like the new generation.
Ultimately,
and he walks in and he makes a joke. Hold on. He makes a joke saying, no, motherfucker. he makes a joke saying like, oh, you guys scoff at traditions. Right. But there's no, the film doesn't show you a clear line between the two other than the sister. Like, the sister is the only clear line between, except for the random B-roll shot of the guy with the watch.
I found it so hard to follow.
Like, ultimately,
it's
like,
unfocused.
We're definitely probably yeah, I agree with you. It's unfocused, but we're like, the only way I can say that it didn't bother me is because I look at it from the perspective of like, she basically said and had the same ideas as Killmonger and his dad, like that they should share their technology and like they can do a lot of good. And also Lupita
Share
Nyong'o's
what?
character.
Share what? They the same as everybody else. They lower than the USA. Look at the grills. They're grilling stuff on coals and stuff. I'm expecting to see some futuristic
We're talking
vibranium
about,
stuff,
about,
man.
What will change
and they just cooking stuff on grills. Like, what is that?
We're not talking about a
it's
fucking.
tasty.
We're not talking about a fucking iPhone. We're talking about like medical advancements, and we're talking about like weapon advancements, like completely different things.
Listen.
This is why I'm saying. The
street was dirty. All right. The street was dirty, though.
No,
you're just putting tech all in one like bottle. Like, oh, if you have
because
like super
that's
advanced
all they
weapons,
showed.
you must have like fucking coffee makers in your like Wakandan hut. Like,
I think a dimension to it is creating a Pan-African future tech. And I have this question for Matt, right? Mm-hmm. As something gives me the vibe here that you're more of the film's target audience than me and Liam, right?
I guess so, yeah. I mean,
did you feel a connection at all? Like, did you feel any kind of power trip from seeing Wakanda be a high-tech, fancy, safe African nation?
This is not my type of thing. I'm a regular dude, man.
But this is what I mean.
That's the thing. I'm a regular dude. I don't care about this. Like,
it's gonna work for Americans.
Yeah, like I'm okay. I would like the most I get when it comes down to equality is like I would love to see a variety of just the generic white bald guy, swole guy in every film, in every video game. I would like to see some variety. That's pretty much it. I don't care about this whole like, oh yeah, black power, and get up in your face and start, going crazy in the streets and stuff like that. Like I know people will judge me on that, but like I don't go too crazy on the thing. Yes, there's a problem in specific areas, but those things that need to be addressed don't need to be shoved into my face in certain films if it's not done correctly. Like when I brought up Get Out, right? Get Out is a fantastic movie, a fantastic movie. Like they address certain issues, it's within that realm, but there's a story behind it that has nothing to do with the whole racial thing. Like there's so much to that movie that made you laugh, that made you scared, that had nothing to do with like racial stuff, Like it was a good movie on its own. If you took the racial stuff, it would be different. But yeah, it won an Oscar for a reason. It's a good ass freaking movie. Now Black Panther and Black Lightning and all that, it's riding on that horseback, man. Can I just
say, very like what you're saying is basically what kind of reinforces my point about why I think the tech thing wasn't a big deal, because you, like, as you said, you're a normal American dude. It's not about like your skin or like your background or anything. You're a normal ass American dude, right? And I'm a normal ass English dude. I don't care about like traditions. I don't have like a glowing historical culture that I'm proud of or anything. But like to like Japanese people here, like they have like a festival every month. They have like festivals every week. They just celebrate Japanese culture all the time internally in Japan, right? And that's really important to them. Whereas I don't see like that parallel in my like uprising or anything, because like we don't do that in the UK. And I imagine the same is for you, Matt, and that's why you didn't have that connection there. And in terms of the technology, what I think is like for us, like that is super important, because that's kind of like what we've grown up with. You think like if you had the power to like create all this technology with this special awesome material like vibranium, you would do all this crazy stuff. But to like those other people who growing up with like traditions and celebrations that basically take over your cultural identity, stuff like technology takes a backseat. And yeah, you use it then for like the most important purposes, not like just your everyday use, because you're like, well, we don't really do that. That's not our style, but we'll use it. So, you make like the healthcare advancements, you make like the weapon advancements, and that's what Wakanda did while keeping its cultural identity, and then they don't share it with the world because maybe they just don't think about it. It's like, oh, this is a Wakanda thing. Like, we're this country, that's that, whatever. But to us as like globalized, like 20 to 40 like year old people. Like technology is like everything to us, and like we don't have that kind of like ritualistic traditional culture that we've grown up with. So there is like a weird parallel with like what George asked. Like, would like young American, like Black Americans, be more related to Killmonger than they ever would like Chadwick Boseman?
Yeah, the good guy.
Like, it's a completely different thing. It's like trying to be like, I don't know, like drawing parallels between like a Japanese person and just like a generic Asian person. Like they're different. Like if you're from Korea and that person's from Japan, just because you kind of look the same, your cultures are completely different, right? Kind of gone off a bit of a tangent, but you get what I'm saying.
I just, the thing is that it's a part of the film, and the consistency is just not there in multiple parts. Like there is the technology thing, there is a clear difference between the two, and the mountain people play a huge part in the Wakanda fight, right? In the end of the film, they go back to that, but like none of these things are satisfying enough. Like when one of the soldiers die with the general. I mean, everyone loves the general, but one of the soldiers die. You're like, who cares? Like, who died? Who is she? Like, there's not a lot of consistency there with all of this stuff. It just doesn't. You have no attachment. So when you go back to the mountain guy, like the only redeeming factor is that he's funny. That's it.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good. It's not a good movie that way.
So I have
one more thing. Like, the one example is the Get Out guy, Daniel Kaluuya. Kaluuya. Yeah.
Kaluuya. I love Kaluuya.
Yeah. He is with the general, and you remember when in the beginning of the movie she said lover, but then they don't address it
until the very end, and they use it as like a Deus Ex Machina. Yeah,
like what the hell?
That's so dumb.
It's so dumb. It's there's a lot of things like that just pisses me off about a movie like that, and for me it ends up just being just boring and average, really.
So but anyway, there's a lot of problems in terms of that. And
this this is actually the first Marvel movie I've ever freaking seen.
What?
I think I'm pretty darn sure. Like, hang on, let me bring up a list of Marvel, because I remember seeing the Spider-Man movies back in like the turn of the millennium, Spider-Man 1 and 2, but I don't think they were like part of the
Iron Man.
No
Marvel.
way. You've been missing out, George.
Wait, no.
So I did not know what was going on in the first quarter of this movie at all.
I don't think
was
any
real
of us,
confused.
and we've watched the movie.
Well, like you're supposed to know. Hang on, T'Challa. No, T'Challa. No, yeah, T'Challa. You're supposed to know T'Challa from Marvel Civil War, and I did not know T'Challa. And when they were going through the the anointing a new king process, I was like, wait, why are we rooting for T'Challa? Like, they seem like there's a friendly rivalry with another guy to be king. Why don't we, like, establish why T'Challa has more, like, heroic virtue? Later on, he has bad guys to catch. He has a problem to solve. But in the beginning of the movie, it looked to me like he was just becoming king because that's his privilege, his birthright. He was just born into it. That's not fascinating.
The thing is, they restarted the movie, restarted his story. It was almost like an origin. Like, he already had the powers, and it got stripped away for the fight. And then they gave it back to him.
Wait. Explain it to me. You can be Black Panther without being a king of Wakanda. Apparently,
they give him back the powers, and he
goes
says,
back to tradition. Like that.
Look. He give him back the powers. he sees his dad. Right. He comes back, and he says, "Oh, I saw him." I'm like, "Wait a minute. What happened the first time you got your powers? Like, I thought you were Black Panther beforehand." And like, it just a lot of things. Just like, okay. This is a movie that's dumbed down, and this is not a movie for me. It's not a movie for me. It's really too dumbed down for me. It's too dumb. I need the details. I need the details to survive. And it is so easy to make a movie that is dumbed down with details that don't mess up. Marvel has been doing it, and they messed this up.
There is nothing better than an intelligently made stupid movie.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what? And we've kind of glossed over. I mean, we're probably going to return to it after Matt's watched it again. But my biggest problem with the film was what they did to Killmonger. Like, oh my god. Like, he was great, right? But he, like, is in, like, the first 5 minutes, and then he appears an hour later when the plot kicks in.
Yep.
And also, they switch back and forth between his justification for what he's doing. Like, he is built up to be like, this is like a revenge story. But then he's like all spouting like, oh, you know, like Wakanda
we don't get that until
Wakanda needs to
halfway
share its
through.
like power and like shit like that. Like, no, you learn pretty early on that, like, you know,
he's a bad guy because he shoots his girlfriend in the face.
Hey, auntie.
Yeah, like, he's cool as fuck, right? But
yeah, I like.
They need to get rid of like the scene with T'Challa with his sister in the lab. It's like pointless, dumbass comedy shit that you don't need to do just to explain how his suit works. It's fucking rubbish. Get rid of it.
Listen. I like the sister, man. The sister, I will watch all day.
I like the sister, but that scene is pointless. The scene is pointless. Like, they have that scene just to explain his like kinetic suit, right?
It's a big part of the movie for some reason.
No, because exactly. You can have like a little earpiece thing to say, hey, I installed this new thing in your suit, and everyone would totally believe that. But you know what is super dumb? Like, all of a sudden, when Killmonger becomes king, he just has the suit. Like, he just walks out. He's got the gold necklace on from the other suit, and he's just like...
He must have
Wait, I thought he had to take a bath in the hallucination sand first.
He did, but there's no, like, donning of him being the Black Panther. There's no, like, him taking over. He just turns up.
Listen, we basically talked about the movie. This is definitely spoilers. You like, might want to put an indication, do an edit, and say, we talk about spoilers.
Yeah, you're going to have to now.
We don't spoil the end, but we definitely did.
No, we
hit a few
need to
twists.
put spoilers on the front.
Okay, I have one question that does not have as much to do with spoilers, and since this is my first Marvel movie, I was kind of surprised at how much violence and killing there is, and how clean and shrugged and swept under the carpet it all is. Oh, like nameless extras are the characters who die.
Yeah,
they're like characters have knives that they chop people with, and they just kind of like collapse and. Whenever, like, a bullet is shot, you got CGI'd smoke, a CGI'd flash, the actor doesn't jump at the shot, they just kind of grab their clothes, and there might be a close-up shot of a wound that's not bleeding. Are the rest of them that, like,
yes,
neutered for how high of a body count they have?
Yes, and
remember
this probably has
when
the highest
he
body
runs...
count.
There's that scene. It might as well have been a chase scene from a Spider-Man movie, but remember in Korea they have a chase scene and the car like runs over one of the goons, one of the bad guy goons. And I mean, if it was a Batman movie, they might have moved out of the way first, or like check to see if they still had a pulse, or like call an ambulance. But it seems like Black Panther doesn't care about putting the bad guys on ice.
I will admit the best part was that bit when she throws the spear through the car and makes the car crash on the other side. That was like, that redeemed the whole film. That was awesome.
It's not that I'm against violence in movies so much as I'd rather it kind of have a harder punch and like make the viewer feel a little bit of the like grossness, the mental weight that would come with making such decisions. Just
like teenage films that just have like punches and kicks and supposedly people are dying, but they're not actually dying. It's just kind of feels like, I mean, that's gutless.
Not what I want either, so much as just like human life treated with a bit more weight to it.
Yeah, but that's
like,
what
I don't want video game deaths in movies. Video game deaths are like, that's something that's like always, I think, kind of found unsettling. You ever finish a level of Resident Evil 4 and you're like, wow, I killed 300 people and didn't even realize it? And then you play something like Silent Hill 3 and like every combat matters. Like every single swing everyone takes is like gruesome. It's part of the math. When you're playing Into the Breach, every single smack on a bad guy matters.
Oh, fuck yeah. let's can we talk about that yet? God damn it.
Hell yeah.
Matt, any last thoughts for now?
No. No, I'm done. I'm done with that. I'm disappointed in Black Panther. I'm disappointed. It should have been good.
Your tone is a lot different from last week, to be fair. You've sat on this for a good week.
I didn't want to spoil it. I said I like the characters. That's pretty much it. That's what I like the characters. I didn't like the film.
The characters are good.
It's a very average film. Yeah,
but it's making a big splash.
It's pretty high.
By Marvel standards, is very low in my opinion.
Really? Oh my god,
really?
there are a lot of shit Marvel films. Come on.
What? Which one?
Iron Man.
Let's
2,
see. I got a
Iron
list
Man 3,
here.
Most of the Captain America films, Thor 2.
The Captain America films are good.
No.
Was Ant-Man good?
Civil War was alright. Ant-Man was shit. Like Marvel 2 was bad.
Really?
Marvel 2?
Was
Avengers 2 was bad.
I have a totally different
Thor?
opinion on those. That's crazy.
Dude, they are average films. Like
Winter Soldier, I thought was cool.
And Ragnarok, oh my god,
I gotta see that. Everyone tells me it's real Metal Gear inspired.
Civil War is like the only standable Captain America film. Like I thought, like Winter Soldier was like boring as hell. It was so boring.
Oh, I wonder why I haven't seen any of these. I hear so many mixed messages.
Just watch Ragnarok, man.
Yeah, just watch Ragnarok. We can agree on that.
Like it's literally the best Marvel film. Almost the best Marvel film, yeah.
So, anyways, back to video games.
Yeah.
The podcast.
Into the Breach. Everyone loves it. It's super rad. I've started it up a couple days ago, played about an hour and a half so far. It's kicking my ass on the first island. I'm having the time of my life getting my ass kicked.
Yes.
It's easy to tell when you make the wrong move. It's losing is fun. It's a good ass game.
George,
how is that possible?
How long until you figured out there was a reset turn button?
Not very, actually. I want to say like a good 30 minutes in. I was like, all right, I'll give this button a shot.
It took me an hour before I realized it was even there.
And once it's there, you're gonna use it.
You are.
There's no penalties to it, and it will help a lot.
So I've played a bit more. I've played a lot more of this game than you, it seems. I've played about 10 hours so far.
That is about 10 times as much.
Yeah. I've managed to finish 2 islands in a run and attempt. I'm just gonna say that I've managed to beat 2 islands, and I love this game.
The melding
It's
of
so
roguelite,
good.
like structure and packaging with high intensity tactics is brilliant.
I don't think I've played a game this intense or this like nerve-wracking in a very long time.
I have. This reminds me, the amount of like polish and weight that is put into the gameplay challenges here reminds me a lot of a series of tactic RPGs that no one knows about that I have found in my years. They're called Telepath Tactics. And it's basically this guy who spent his entire childhood playing like Ogre Tactics 64 and decided to make his own spin-off series, not spin-off series, but series inspired by that. He doesn't have much of an art budget, but if you want to see a similar game, and in a game for my inbox video, I talk about the Telepath RPG he made, which was fairly recently. But this one has polish to it. Like back in the Telepath games, like I noticed that unlike other tactics RPGs, I had to think a good 2 turns ahead of time. Yeah, and I have not had to do that until now.
So I'm a big tactics guy in terms of like I really like Advance Wars, I really like Fire Emblem, I like XCOM and games like that. But there's one thing that none of them ever get, like even with permadeath, they just never get intensity or the idea that the player can really be punished in terms of like you make a mistake and that's it. Like,
and you can tell where you fucked up so cleanly, and that's good game design.
And it's
like that's why Siege is so compelling. Like losing is enlightening and informative instead of frustrating and repetitive.
And Into the Breach is like the most chess-like game that isn't chess ever. It's so lays it out in front of you. There isn't like random factors. Like once you recognize an enemy, you know what that enemy does, and you can immediately.
They tell you their moves ahead of time, so you have no excuse.
And like you can,
you have no excuse for fucking up in this game.
But you can assess.
But you still will.
You can assess everything immediately. So like making a move is agonizing because there's always something at like sacrifice for your move, unless you're like really pushing forward. Like I've recently unlocked some of the like later squads, and there's one that like manipulates using smoke, and I've been like sticking to that like squad for a while because smoke is like my lord and savior at the moment, and it does so much. But you can just assess everything so quickly in that game, and the balance between having to sacrifice characters to save your overall health, which is established by a power grid. Mm-hmm. Like you have a certain amount of power on this power grid, and once all of the power grid runs out, like that's it. That's your run, your timeline over, game over completely. So
and the theming is the themes so and like good. The universe are rad.
Yeah.
Matt, have you heard of this game?
No, other than Liam talking about it. I'm watching some gameplay now. It looks pretty interesting. I really love FTL. Really enjoyed
you
that.
Will love this
Imagine that, except without it just being an RNG dialogue box. I didn't like FTL that much.
Just the idea that you have to be thinking about what to sacrifice. It's not even like you're gonna get away with it. Like I play Fire Emblem and Advance Wars, and there's always a feeling that I'll get away with it, or the damage will be like marginal, even with permadeath. Yeah, you might lose a character, but it's like you'll just go back to your barracks and get another character and level that character up, and everything will be fine. You'll complete the game. Whereas you're playing through Into the Breach, and like you'll have like an enemy who's about to attack 2 buildings, and that would be a loss of 2 powers to your power grid, and maybe you're only on 4, so that means you'd be down to 2, which is super dangerous territory because there are many enemies in the game that can deal 2 or 3 damage to like a whole host of buildings. So you'll then like, I can stop that from happening and stay on 4 power if I just put this mech or this unit in front of it and block the attack.
But and take the hit.
But I will lose that mech.
But save the civilians.
I will save the civilians, and I will go into the next map still alive, and my game won't be over. But I'll lose this mech. And the idea is that
your mechs are piloted by AIs afterward. They give you a chance. The AIs just don't level up and get experience, but you don't permanently lose your mech either.
You don't lose your mech, it turns into an AI, but you lose like the passive abilities that pilots have. But not only that, is like if you lose the game, but your mech pilots are still alive, they move into the next timeline. Like they travel to the alternate timeline because they have the power of time travel. So they travel into the next timeline. If the pilots survive, like if you lose your power grid and they don't die, they travel into your next game. Okay.
How do we make the most rad sounding elevator pitch for this game for Matt as possible?
Imagine Matt playing an awesome tactical game where every move is like chess and feels like every decision has such weight. But if you fail, your awesome characters, if they survive, they travel into the next game, so you get better. Because you get to keep all their abilities, all their weapons and stuff, and you just gradually learn and get better. I know exactly what it's like.
Wait, there's no permadeath?
There is permadeath. Once they die, that's it. But like if they survive and you lose your world power, which is their power grid, like if the Vec, the aliens, destroy like enough buildings, like and your power grid is 0, that's it. It's game over, but your pilots survived, right? But they can die. So
your pilot can travel back in time and try to save the civilians in the next timeline.
Matt, have you ever seen the film Edge of Tomorrow?
Yes, of course.
Edge of Tomorrow, right?
Absolutely.
So imagine that Tom Cruise like montage of him training and getting better and traveling back in time and trying to defeat the aliens every single time, right? But getting smarter and smarter each time. That's you in this game.
Yeah, but He doesn't have permadeath.
No, but like,
No, there's permadeath.
If
But he doesn't
you
die.
survive, yeah, but if you
Well, he
survive,
can.
you can do that. You learn and you get better, and it feels great.
I
But
don't
if
want
they
another
die,
XCOM 2. XCOM 2 killed me. It killed my soul.
This will destroy you. This
Like,
will destroy you.
Does it? All right, I will play it if it has a as good soundtrack as FTL. Because
Yes.
FTL soundtrack was good.
It's made
so
by
good.
Ben Prudy, so it's the same. It's the same guy.
I might give it a try then.
It's so
Into
good.
the Breach.
Plus, if you buy it now, you get a free copy of FTL with it anyway.
Give it to a friend or something. I guess people aren't buying FTL anymore.
Don't buy Into the Breach. It's better.
Yeah, there's actual.
Yeah, I
player
never got
input
to the
and
end of
strategy
FTL. I never got to the end. I never had the patience for it. But I enjoyed going through to listen to the music and somehow make it far.
I can't stop. I've been talking to like last week's guest, Kyle, the lovely Kyle Givelli, a lot about Into the Breach. Me and Kyle have been talking about it, and we've been swapping strategies and stuff like that. And I just can't stop thinking about it. It's like every decision you make, you feel like, oh shit, what could I have done better? Or is there a way I could have mitigated that damage or something like that? Like you're
Did our
constantly
character
just
die?
assessing. Oh, Gorg Weedman and Matt Visual, they died my first run. I'm sorry.
I hope not of dysentery though.
No, you died after just being smashed in the face by a Vec. I'm sorry.
It's a pretty rad way to go though.
It is a pretty rad.
I'm
You
okay with
you were
this.
saving the planet. I mean, you got to the second island, but that was it.
Wow.
Can I have a commercial for George Socks on my tombstone so that I can keep the meme going into my grave?
We could make like giant socks for the mech that follows you afterwards.
I hope I finish my next video before I die.
Well, you've already died. This is like in the past.
Oh
It's like
shit!
haunting George.
It's Ghost
Well,
George.
well,
It's
for all
it's
my-
Bruce Willis George. He doesn't even know it.
For all my fans of 5 years, I have some bad news for you.
Liam killed me.
George Weedman was found dead. Heard on the podcast this Tuesday morning. He will be survived by Matt Visual and Liam Edwards after the break.
Like, just before we go into break, I just want to say, it's upsetting that already 3 games have come out this year that would have made my top 10 for last year. And last year was a damn
Ooh.
good.
What are the other
good
two?
year for games? Celeste and Monster Hunter World.
Oh yeah, I haven't tried Monster Hunter World yet, but Into the Breach for me is like I think the first big 2018 it's kind of knocked my socks off.
I agree. It's Monster Hunter World has knocked my socks off, and Celeste was great, obviously, but wow, Into the Breach is much better than I thought it was ever going to be. It's great.
Okay.
It's fantastic.
So with that being said, let me go ahead and jump out the window and just go ahead and finish this struggle. I'll like I'll peel myself off the pavement and come back in a
I have a
while to wrap
spatula
things
for
up.
you.
But
Yeah.
Oh, nice, thanks.
Matt, you're a ghost too.
housewarming,
You
a
can't pick up
housewarming
a
gift.
spatula.
You know, I gotta buy you like a tool set or something.
Yeah. The things
so on my way out, I'll like put that in the mail.
the things you forget when you move into a new place. You're like, oh, I don't have spoons. I gotta eat cereal with a fork. You got to develop a new technique. You know, put some
took me
cereal in
10
your
days.
mouth and then sip some of the milk, and you're like, well, okay, this kind of works. This kind of works.
Are you like using the concave end of a fork as like a half spoon?
Yeah, you get some of it.
my
No. Well, I mean, I went to
God.
this is before I went to the store and got me some spoons now. But yeah, when I woke up in the morning, I was like, oh, I don't have spoons. Oh, I need to get this.
Oh no.
Oh no. Like the bill just creeps up. Anyways, I'm gonna go piss.
Yeah. Let's go.
Sunday, and Saturday. It's the Nathaniel Dallas Mower Expo. Be there as the biggest names in mowers, hedgers, and clippers unveil the latest in grass-cutting technology. Thrill to the awe-inspiring spectacle of the Snapper Precision Mowing Team. See King Mulch take on a Texas-sized pile of twigs. Over 10,000 oil paintings must be sold. Don't miss the Dallas Mower Expo. Be there.
Welcome back from the break. I am not going to introduce this next topic. I'm going to leave it up to George.
This just in. On this week's Fiasco with George, Donald Trump has agreed to meet up with video game executives to discuss video game violence in the wake of a school shooting in Florida. On March 5th, the ESA reported that it has received a formal invitation to meet with Trump on March 8th, presumably to discuss gun violence in the wake of a shooting that left 17 dead. Authorities have announced no connection to video games, and it's unclear what role, if any, games have played in the incident, according to an official statement from the ESA themselves. They further go on to say, quote, "The upcoming meeting at the White House, which the ESA will attend, will provide the opportunity to have a fact-based conversation about video game ratings, our industry's commitment to parents, and the tools we provide to make informed entertainment choices," the ESA told Polygon in a statement. That's referencing a soundbite that I am utilizing for a Trump gag in my video, in which a week ago he said, sometimes kids can go to movies where there's killing and no sex, and that's fine, and maybe we should make a rating system for that. Cue title card of 40-minute video explaining the world's various rating systems and their pros and cons. This follows a statement that he made on March 1st. Well, not that he himself made, but his press secretary ended up having leaked to the press, in which he was requesting that meeting beforehand without informing anyone. White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders told reporters on March 1st, quote, "Next week he'll also be meeting with members of the video game industry to see what they can do on that front as well." However, on that same day, the Entertainment Software Association replied, saying that neither it nor its member companies had received the invitation to meet with Trump. Apparently, they finally did their paperwork and are doing that next week. I really hope it's recorded. God, I hope it's recorded. God, I want to be a fly in the wall in that room so bad.
The ESA already made a statement in response to this that just pretty much sums it all up and ends it without even having to talk to Trump. Like I'm paraphrasing what it was said because I don't have the direct quote in front of me, but they said something along the lines of, the video games industry is a global industry. It's in every culture and every country in the world right now, and it is as far-flung as anything, like movies too. Yet no other country has gun crime or problems with gun laws like America, and yet everyone is totally fucking fine playing video games.
I'm sure you're paraphrasing.
I hope I'm not paraphrasing
from the ESA. Pretty fucking fine.
Like,
it just feels. I feel embarrassed.
I mean, the level of gun violence is exponentially higher in the U.S. than in other countries, is the official quote.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed in my research for this rating agency video is that Germany has school shootings as well. There's been like 4 of them, not as much in America, but Germany, of course, you know, German school shootings preceded German efforts to create rating systems that demonize video game violence in much the same way that it happens in the States. And this is like totally tangential, and I mean, I might be connecting dots here based on the issues that my own biases are concerned about, which I will happily admit to, but I can't help but wonder if all of these other countries that do not have moral panics over video game violence, that waited a lot longer than both the US and Germany to install rating systems, they don't have school shootings. I interviewed a lot of fans from a lot of countries. The Russian fans told me their parents didn't care about video game violence. The UK fans, Liam, you might be able to either attest to this or break this. Did your parents care about video game violence when you were growing up?
Not really. They like.
Well, guess what? The UK doesn't have school shootings.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like the ESA have already
the
said
Japanese
it.
fans.
There's literally there's no reason to have
Liam,
the fucking meeting. Like
I have another question about a culture you should intimately know, and that is Japan. Do they have moral panics over video game violence in Japan?
no, they don't. Like Japan has titty games and mature themes all over the place. And
But they can't have
Everywhere.
actual titties.
Everywhere.
The Sero doesn't let the titties.
and not
No,
everyone
this
in
is
Japan
another
is a
interesting
prostitute.
dynamic I found out. You can't get actually naked, just veiled nudity is fine.
Dude, oh my God, if a guy with Christian values go over there, they will have a heart attack.
Yeah, you were far
Yeah,
out,
but I
of,
bet
out
that,
of your water
I bet
than
that
in that
Christine
territory.
Valued, I bet that guy who has those Christine values owns an AR-15 and would fucking die for his dumbass weapon.
Oh boy,
Let's-
there we go,
let's not-
pissing off a
not
contingent
generalize
of
here.
the listeners again. I mean, I still stand by like my previous statement that there are some situations in American rural life where, I mean, I don't know if an AR-15 would make sense, but there's a lot of like ranchers and farmers out there that could use their guns for practical, bountiful, commercially viable purposes. And I don't want them to suffer.
Right.
But I also don't want kids in the suburbs and the cities to have access to even a semi-auto handgun. That's how Virginia Tech happened.
I feel like there's two conversations about video game violence and stuff like this. Like there are parallels where people are dumb enough or unfortunately have maybe illnesses that make them want to imitate stuff they see, whether it's in movies, video
and
games,
cheaper
or whatever.
healthcare is a problem for Americans' brains as well as is for our bodies. Like our healthcare system is another whole nother dimension to this
But
because
there is literally no
we demonize
excuse.
mental health care.
There's no excuse on earth. There is zero. There is no excuse to be saying we're going to have a fucking meeting with the video games industry to solve our gun problem. Instead of talking to people who deal with guns and
this is
what
a
is the
scapegoat
worst
that I
case
think
scenario? Like
I don't know how.
To quote Richard O'Ide, one of Britain's gifts to the world, IT crowd favorite. What is the worst case scenario if no one has any guns? Like, are you worried you're all going to get shot if there are no guns?
Americans fear a government tyranny that they need to revolt over. But I think I remember reading about
Why
one
put
country
someone
out
like
there.
Trump in charge? Like, what is wrong
Right,
with you
and
guys?
it's an argument that I'm not convinced when looking at the historical efforts of people like MLK and Gandhi and like Susan B. Anthony. You can
We
fight
have
government
Theresa May
suppression
in
with your
charge,
votes if you live in a democracy.
Like, we've got Theresa May in charge, and we're still not rioting in the streets, like, with guns and overthrowing the government.
What about public arsenals or something where there's like a locked, secure gun control? I think is what people are actually arguing for, and that gets conflated into a gun ban.
People were worried that this will affect the video games industry. It's not. It's just deflection tactics. It's just take all the heat off the NRA, take it off Trump, and just put it onto something dumb that no one cares about because it's stupid and weird. And let's just blame it on video games.
And I wonder if he knows because he's zigzagging right now, depending on, I guess, the latest person he's talked to.
I don't.
I mean, maybe he flip-flopped between Wayne LaPierre. Is Tipper Gore still around? Maybe he had a phone call with Tipper Gore. That's the Democrat that wanted to start rating systems in the first place.
It's not even about rating systems. It's just dumb. It's so dumb to even be talking about so soon after a school shooting that really shook up America, because you have them so often, so you're kind of used to them. But it's
good though that we're finally talking about it. Not good that we're still talking about video games.
You're not finally talking about it. You had Columbine, you had Parkland, you've had so many that you've talked about and done nothing, right? And the fact that Trump is just 2 weeks later being like, hey, I'm going to have a meeting with video games because then that'll solve your gun laws or that'll have something to do with it. It's it's just purposeful deflection and stupidity in terms of just being like, do you know what? NRA is taking the heat. NRA is my biggest beneficiary and benefactor. And you know what? I need to do something for those guys because, you know, they give me like $3 million a year. So
it depends on
video
what
games.
day of the week you talk to them.
Have you guys talked to people who own guns?
I've had some Twitter DMs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I spoke to a few people who were happy that we raised the issue, that it needs to be spoken about. And
I mean,
we need to stop talking about
life.
Trump on this podcast, but this directly does relate to video games.
It does relate to video games. There's going to be some real stupid news about video games next week on March 8th. If this meeting does go through, there's going to be a lot of stupid quotes if it is adequately recorded and documented. And I have my hopes up. A lot of White House meetings have gotten cameras turned on and never turned off in there these days. And I'm really looking forward to watching if it does come to light, like a full C-SPAN unedited.
TV, so
yeah, you got to watch the boring channels.
You got to
these
watch
days,
the Russian
but
channels.
I put them in my bookmarks. Is that a Russia joke?
Yes.
Yeah.
Too easy.
There's that whole dimension to it too, but I think there's a little more ambiguity there on that one.
Like, if there is anyone who listens to this,
there soon won't be. But
like, if there is anyone who listens to this podcast and is like a supporter of Trump and gun laws in terms of like keeping guns, like laws that allow you to keep guns. Like, what do you think about Trump speaking to the ESA to blame video games about stuff like this? Like, are you happy that it's taking heat off the NRA, or are you now like shitting yourself that like Trump's going to take away video games? Like, it's so ridiculous.
You guys see Boogie's angry tweet in all caps?
From the people I know that have heard about this and do like guns and own guns and don't want them taken away from them, they want, and this is their opinion, they want people to look at, Trump to look at like illnesses more than they want to look at video games, because video games are...
which is another thing that I don't think people actually disagree on. I think there's a lot more that these two dividing ideologies of American thought right now agree on that we don't give ourselves enough credit for. And healthcare reform is one.
Trump can't say that because he cut funding for mental health. He's not going to go back on that because he's an arrogant prick. So he's not going to go back on anything he's already took a stance against.
Yeah, the new tax plan does have less dedicated towards Medicare and Medicaid towards it. And the whole campaign promise to replace and repeal Obamacare hasn't really happened, but the idea of setting up a system for American teenagers to get good counseling should be something we should strive for. We should strive to change our culture to make it less appealing to solve your problems with violence and instead solve them with a trip to the therapist. We shouldn't be putting kids in this situation where there's so much of this like angst and anger that gets bottled up to the point where this is what ends up happening from it. Yes, in addition to gun control, mental health is super duper important. Don't get us wrong there either.
Yeah.
This is just in direct relation to what Trump is saying about having a meeting with the ESA because of guns and video games being related to violence. So, yeah.
Yeah, that sums it up pretty nicely.
Speaking of uncomfortable social change, Rainbow Six Siege is going to be rolling out a patch that will issue straight up insta-bans to players who type racial and homophobic slurs. I'm sure we all know which ones. Should you type that into chat, you are likely to receive a 2 to 15 day ban depending on the severity of your actions, or if you're managing to appeal with a feedback system that they're going to be employing as well. But I mean, I don't know. If it's just a straight word detector, I can't imagine it screwing things up too bad unless the word gets involved in some other thing. I mean, I know, Liam, that in UK parlance, there are some terms that are much more polite over there than they are in America, and I'm wondering how the Siege localization servers deal with such exceptions.
I don't know. It depends. Like,
You know which euphemism I'm talking about?
Oh, no, there are many.
It involves cigarette butts.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no.
Yeah, that one. I can imagine that one causing some players some trouble. Not so much with the others, though.
Is it really? Like, what other situation do you use that?
I guess if you're playing Siege and you're enjoying a nice cigarette and you have UK slang that you grew up with.
Like if you mispronounce frag grenade, I guess.
Oh, well, this is for text, not speech.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you mistype frag grenade.
If you mistype frag grenade, you might end up getting in trouble.
So they'll probably ignore that specific one, because that seems like quite...
I've had trouble moderating that one myself.
I haven't heard anyone use that word in a while.
So I can't imagine the other slurs like getting mixed up with innocent words, though.
They just keep getting added to the list. Like if someone will report it, it'll just get added to the list and checked. Like I remember, like the ban list we had at Rockstar for online stuff was like 10 pages long, full of all sorts of different cultures and slangs, and we even had words like Nintendo banned.
Wait, what?
Just for like naming characters and stuff like that, like competitors. And stuff like that. Not you're not allowed to name your character like Nintendo fanboy 101 3DS.
I guess to steer clear of weird American copyright laws.
Yeah, exactly. So there'll be a whole host of things, I imagine, and I imagine Siege, like most online multiplayer games, has a reporting process. So if you've been banned or you've been subject to abuse from someone, or sort of been shouted at or typed at very loudly in horrible words, you can report it, and then it'll be on a case by case basis whether it works or not. Yeah.
Players who do that will not be allowed to do that.
Yeah. It's a good step forward. Like that.
But wait, there's more.
Oh no.
So I don't know if you guys have given Siege a try. I know Matt has given it a try before. What if I told you, Matt, that in this new patch that is launching today as of recording this podcast, March 6th, they're unlocking a patch that just straight up gives everyone the operators that the game launched with. No more grinding for your easy, basic, vanilla operators. You still got to grind for the DLC ones, which will take you forever. But now all of the main game's mechanics are accessed to you from the start. There will be no more fighting over new players who don't have as many characters to choose from. New players will be able to make use of all the game's mechanics and systems at a much faster rate. They are also straight up giving everyone weapon attachments for free, which was another annoying rat race to have to do. All the guns are better with some kind of sight attached. The menus to get there are a little slow and laggy. The prices for them were negligent. It was just a chore unlocking them. And now they just straight up give you a weapon customization screen that does not cost any in-game resource. I guess the idea, hopefully the way this turns out, unless they lowered the value of the weekly challenges, is that the game is just straight up going to get cheaper with fake in-game currency. It's at least cheaper now on launch with real currency, and less of a grind to unlock the cool characters. And also zombie co-op mode and an operator that just drops a buff down and pretends to be a super medic. Ugh. I mean, I expect that might not benefit the game as much as these other two changes, which is funny because that's going to be the most expensive content that this patch launches with. But I'm really freaking looking forward to playing this game again tonight, binging it after I finish this video.
I hope the zombie combat is good, because I always enjoyed.
Think you might pick it up again?
Yeah, I always enjoy horde mode. I always enjoy
a lot of players are rightfully, in my opinion, like mad about this thing not fitting the theme, not fitting the series flavor. It totally doesn't. I'm not as offended as they are, but I still get it.
It depends on how they do it. If it's just like boring old zombies, shoot them in the head type stuff, then
they're supposed to be able to blow up walls, claw through walls, use the destruction tech in some way to make it a little more interesting. But I doubt it's going to be as interesting as real human players, like putting sight lines through 2 specific walls that cross paths into a high-traffic area to send intel reports to teams on the other side of the map to know where to shoot through their walls. And
Oh, wait a minute. This is the same game that has like the terrorist hunt where like the guys just blow up in your face no matter what. Right? If
yeah, the suicide bombers.
Oh, I hate.
So it might play like that,
Never
except
mind.
the enemies don't have guns.
I'm good.
You're good.
I'm good.
Well, what about the regular? You don't got to unlock people anymore.
Yeah.
Does that sweeten the D guy?
Yeah. That might be good. That might be good. I might try that out.
When you do, let me know. we can squat up and bango some tangos.
Yeah.
breach some boys.
Open some doors.
All right. Those are the 2 news stories this week that tickled my fancy.
No. Let's keep talking about Siege. Let's not go to the next topic or trivia game. Let's not.
The next topic we have on our docket, is Liam's trivia. Emporium.
No.
Cue the theme song. Let's all make fools of ourselves.
God. Is Liam there?
Yes.
Where did you go?
I tuned out when
Wait.
you started talking about siege currency. I was like, what?
Hang on, let me reiterate that. Why did you fall asleep in the live studio room that we're all in here together with?
I found the sofa couch thing.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't
Comfy.
it?
And then Matt was
Wait
like
till you,
complaining about my game, and then I was like thinking, but Matt, it's the people's game.
Is it though? Is it?
Yeah. It's truly
But
theirs.
where's the root of the problem here? Who came up with the game though? Who came up?
I don't know.
I did.
Someone who may
Did
or
you,
may not be
Liam?
sleeping in this studio right now.
Oh God, Matt, Liam, it's an anagram for MAME.
Actually, my name spelled backwards is male, and then if you add the first letter of my surname, it's email.
So I guess it's unfortunate that we're not taking emails this week.
I just thought you should all know. If you've never typed Liam backwards, it's that. But anyway, before
Wait,
I
are
was
you
rudely...
serious? Holy
Yeah.
Mail. Liam Mail. There's a guy named Liam Mail on the internet.
Really?
Straughty
that
Mail.
poor fucking guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do we got? What do we
Right.
got for us this week?
So
I'm putting on my dignity armor.
we're jumping into the guess the game trivia, the segment everyone's been waiting for, including Matt, no matter how much he complains. If you are new to Dad and Sons, in this segment here we have a nice little game where I will give Matt and George 5 clues, and they have to guess what video game it is. And today's clues come from Taylor Nodell, and he says, "Hi, Dad and Sons. I'm on
Thanks,
one of
Taylor.
those." Why would you interrupt Taylor like that?
I just wanted to let him know that we appreciate him.
Okay, he says hi back. I'm on one of those
Hey.
20... Oh my God. Do it again, I swear to God. This studio, I'm out. Don't insult Taylor like this, George.
What? I like Taylor. He's got a cool sense of humor. Got a nice sense of fashion. You're a cool guy, Taylor.
He has a nice photo. If that's really him. Anyway, hi, Dad and Sons. I'm on one of those 20-hour layovers in Shanghai Airport in Singapore. Hope you're all doing well.
Ooh.
Break out the Switch.
Yeah. So he says, okay, game time. The first clue. Are you guys ready, by the way? Are you good?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Matt?
sure. Why not?
Reluctantly so? Matt, you're like on a winning streak. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, it's gonna end.
It's a high pressure
say
situation,
that
Liam. You don't know
every
what
week.
it's like.
You don't, man.
Into the breach guessing game. Okay. So the first clue is the lead designer and creator of this game is best known for a series of self-titled bass fishing games.
Wait, what are we guessing?
A game.
Oh, please
A
don't have us guessing a fishing game.
No, but
Okay.
the lead designer and creator of the game in question that you are guessing today is known for a series of self-titled bass fishing games.
Don't
My
know.
favorites.
Don't know.
Anyone wanna-
Next.
Already.
Next.
Yeah.
George, agree?
Next.
Okay, number 2. This game was released in 2006 for the Game Boy Advance.
I was around that year.
Although it was originally planned for the Nintendo 64.
So 64 to GBA. 2006. Guy makes, I want to guess Sega Bass Fishing. So...
Taylor gave
Is
us
that
a freaking fishing game for the GBA. Seriously?
I'm good for the next clue.
I don't know nothing. Give me the next one.
Okay. The next clue is although critically and commercially successful, remembering it did release late into the GBA's life cycle, 2006, the DS had been out a good 2 years by this point. Although critically and commercially successful, this game was never released outside of Japan.
Oh, come on. How are we gonna know that?
Shrek. Charlotte's Web.
Nice guess, Matt. That's your turnover. I think George might know, even though he just literally said, how are we going to know that?
Mother 3.
Mother 3 is the correct answer.
Son of a...
Round of applause. Golf clap for George.
Yeah, the moment you said it was critically and commercially successful,
Mother
I
3
don't
was
that's
for
when
the
I
GBA?
knew it wasn't a fishing game.
I don't even know how true that statement is, really. I
Mother
don't think
3.
I don't think it was commercially successful.
Mother 3 GBA.
Well, it's also real popular overseas, so it's not like...
the
it
final
is-
2 clues were the game is the third sequel in a line of JRPGs popularized originally on the Nintendo Entertainment System, and also an unofficial fan translation of the game was released by Starman.net in October 2008.
I would have
and
got
that's
it by that point.
absolutely when we...
Yeah.
Game
That's when
Thank
you.
God
That's
we
when
didn't make
I
it
would
that
know.
far.
At that
Yes.
But yeah, I panicked a bit when I was like, oh god, it only released in Japan? Fuck.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait a second, what's the one game I know that's like only released in Japan but not an obscure Japanese game that didn't make it overseas? Like, this is the one that everyone knows.
It's still a damn shame that game has never been available wildly.
And they
Wildly,
know.
widely.
They make fun of it in Nintendo Directs, or at least they used to.
They used to. But
They acknowledge
if you haven't
how
played that
frustrating...
game, you should check it out. Mother 3 is a fantastic game. And thank you so much to our friend Taylor Nodell for his wonderful
Nice shades,
clues.
Taylor.
So if you enjoyed this segment and you enjoyed torturing Matt and making George feel like a genius, you can email your 5 clues and game title to dadandsonspodcast@gmail.com. Remember to add loads of text or a nice, wonderful message for me to read prior to putting the answer or the things so George doesn't see it. Because Matt never checks emails, so don't worry about that.
How do you know I don't check the emails?
Matt,
How
you
did
don't
this
check
come
shit. I don't even think you know that a podcast has gone up yet. You're like, oh yeah, we're putting these up next year, right?
I don't know how you know I don't check them emails. I don't, but I don't know how you know. God damn it.
At least we still have Taylor in our lives.
Yeah, at least we have Taylor. Thanks, Taylor.
Well,
Well, this week's winner is George. So, Matt, next time, comeback is on. Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, you got the last two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
you
mean,
almost
got
on
to
a
stay in the
hat-trick.
game somehow. Yeah.
Damn. I mean, being forced to do it is one way of staying in the game.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your questions. Where can we send those questions again?
You can send them to dadandsonspodcast@gmail.com.
What a memorable email address. I'll never forget it.
What's that again?
I'm surprised Matt even knows we have an email address.
There you go.
Matt, are you going to make like a conscious effort to read the emails first this week now? Just like, fuck that guy.
No.
Will you kids stop arguing or I will turn this car around?
You can't tell your dads what to do.
Dads? You think you're the dads here?
Oh my God. Slowly devolving.
Just wait until your mother gets home.
Oh my God.
Oh God. Whoa.
Don't bring up that card. I don't think listeners are ready.
Who's
for
the
that.
mom?